I was born in a small town of Des Moines, Iowa, and I I grew up going to church my whole life. I went to a Catholic church when I was little. I went to a Catholic daycare, and then I went to a Lutheran church for a really long time. We kind of jumped around for a while because we didn't really. Well, it was just my mom and I, and we didn't really find anything that we liked necessarily. But at the last church, the Missouri Synod one, we we kind of found a home there, and we found a lot of really good people there, and in our eyes, like everybody there was doing what was right. And I remember my mom saying one time, like, how can I even go to this church because everybody seems to have their life together and stuff, and we don't. But so after that, I went to college, and my mom really encouraged me to keep going to church and keep my faith up. But all the while that I was going to that church and then on into college, I was just getting more and more into just becoming a slave to like drinking and drugs and being with girls all the time, and really like I did not have a relationship with God at all. My relationship with God was just a religion, and I would go to church when I felt like it, and there was like no fruit in my life at all. I definitely believed at the time that I was a Christian. My mom, I remember even one time she said, pray this prayer and that means you're going to heaven, and I did it. But my life was no different than anybody else's, and I just knew how to mask it, and I would pretend that I was a Christian to all my Christian friends, and to all my heathen friends I was the craziest one out of all of them. And so eventually I moved to Kansas City, and I was dating a girl, and practically we were living together, and things were just getting really, really crazy, and I was just feeling really convicted about how I was living my life and how I was living it with her and how I was leading her down a bad path. And I remember I would cheat on just about every girlfriend I ever had, and I cheated on her, and it was a girl from Des Moines who was an atheist and hated Christians and all this stuff, and she kind of liked me and stuff, and I felt so guilty that I told her, read this book, Mere Christianity. So I thought like that would kind of like make me a good person again, and she read it, and somehow she became a Christian, and her life turned upside down overnight, and she just gave her life completely to the Lord, and she put herself around a group of Christians that she used to hate, I believe, and so I prayed. I prayed at that time, God, if you can do this in my life, what you did to hers, and you can finally give me the power to stop like living this crazy, destructive life where it's like I'm just depressed and empty all the time, and if you can bring me to Des Moines, like pay to break my lease and get me out of all this debt that I'm in so that I can come to Des Moines, then like I'll do anything. You know, I'll go to these Bible studies she's invited me to, and all this stuff. And I also prayed that God would give me men to be accountable to in my life that were really following the Lord. And a week later, my roommate came up to me and said that her parents needed her to move back home to take care of her grandma, who's getting older, and so they were going to pay to break our lease, and they were also going to pay to move me back to Des Moines because it was on the way to Minneapolis, which is where she was going to drop her stuff off. And so I got a complete free ride back to Des Moines in less than a month from praying that. And I joined a Bible study, even though I really didn't want to, but I kept my word. And somebody shared the gospel with me, and I remember watching a movie about Christ, and he was talking about the prodigal son and sharing a bunch of his messages and sermons and things, and I was just like convicted by the whole movie about how I'd lived my whole life in total rebellion against God, and none of my religion had fixed it, and I've just like destroyed people's lives and left this huge path of destruction, and all the people that I've said that I've cared about, and I've just like been complete jerk to everyone, and so I repented, and I gave my life to the Lord that night, and and so now I'm involved in the very same church that that girl gave her life to, and she still goes here, and so it's been crazy, and I haven't looked back. So